You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. Now with spring practice over, Brian Kelly is, I guess, doing some of the media rounds. I know he did an interview with Jacques Doucet, and yesterday did an interview with Michael Cobble over at WBRZ. And it's a great interview. You can check it out on their YouTube channel, on the website, a lot of different places that you can go check out the full conversation with Brian Kelly as he enters year 2 of his LSU tenure. There was a couple of things that Brian Kelly said, though, that got me thinking. I wanted to share with you and talk about a little bit here. One of them specifically is about the quarterbacks with Jayden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier. It's never going to be short on conversation around those guys for obvious reasons. I'll get to Nussmeier in a second. I want to start with Daniels because I think we all know coming into the season, of course, Jayden Daniels is your starter. That is set. That's final. And the question is, how do you get Daniels to maximize himself to take the step to that next level, right, so he can be a championship caliber quarterback? So you can go from being a team that upsets Bama and wins the West, but has a couple of disappointing outings as well, and you end up in a nice bowl game with a really fine season, especially considering what the expectations were in year 1 and where your program had been. But how do you go from that to being a national championship contender and a team that could get to the playoff and potentially win it? So Brian Kelly did talk about that, about Jayden Daniels making the progress with another year in the program.
Just another year in the program, right? Just, understanding nutrition, understanding how to take care of himself, obviously bigger, stronger in a weight training program that he wasn't familiar with. So all those things just, going into year 2, these are the things that you should start to see. And then, we've made a lot about pushing the ball down the field. This is really letting the ball go. There were many opportunities for him to push the ball down the field. He just wasn't comfortable with what he saw. Now, another year in the offense, he sees it more clearly and the ball comes out of his hand.
I was looking at Jayden Daniels in preparation for this. I went back and looked at his freshman season and kind of compared it to this past year. And one thing that's pretty clear to me, man, is COVID really derailed Jayden Daniels. Here's what I mean. And I know giving out numbers on radio is confusing to a lot of people, and it doesn't always translate. But just, bear with me. I know it's going to be a lot of numbers. Bear with me. You'll understand the comp. You don't have to memorize it. It's not going to be a test. As a freshman, Jayden Daniels completed 60.7% of his passes. 2,943 yards, averaged 8.7 yards per completion, 17 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a QBR of 149.2, a quarterback rating of 149.2. The COVID year, when at Arizona State, of course, the Pac-12 had canceled their season and decided to play and played sort of a modified season, it derailed everything. You saw everything plummet. You saw his obviously attempts and the cumulative numbers plummet, but you saw yards per completion plummet. You saw his quarterback rating drop. He was just a very different player. And then coming off of the COVID year in 2021, you saw a similar drawback. He went from 2,900 yards as a freshman to 2,300 yards as a junior. He went from 17 touchdowns, 2 picks to 10 and 10. Touchdowns down, interceptions up. His quarterback rating went from 149 to 136. You saw every measurable for Jayden Daniels from his freshman year after COVID plummet as a junior. There was a lot to do with that. I mean, a lot of that had to do with the fact that Arizona State was a disaster, that they really had no receivers. If you know the situation very much, the Herm got fired, and there was tons of turnover, and there was allegations of everything going on within the program. It was a mess. So there was a lot going on. So you remove Jayden Daniels from Arizona State, and you put him in a less toxic, more healthy environment with Brian Kelly at LSU and Mike Denbrock and good receivers and talent, all sorts of stuff. And his year at LSU last year was almost a mirror to his freshman season. Mirrored it. 2,943 yards as a freshman, 2,913 yards this past year. Almost identical. 17 touchdowns, 2 picks as a freshman, 17 touchdowns, 3 picks this past year. QBR went from 149 as a freshman, 144.5 this past year at LSU. His freshman year was awesome, followed by COVID, disaster at Arizona State, and then a fourth year, first at LSU, where freshman year and his first year at LSU mirrored each other. So now the question is, how do you build upon this year to make sure this isn't the ceiling for Jayden Daniels? And that's going to be the fascinating part. Can he be, I hesitate to say, can he be Joe Burrow? Because I don't think that's realistic. He's not going to throw for 5,000 yards. He's not going to double his passing yardage, right? But can he go from 2,900 passing yards to 3,500? Can he go from 17 touchdowns to 25 touchdowns? You know, that's the kind of thing where you say, okay, can we see Jayden Daniels go from being a really good college quarterback who accounted for nearly 70% of LSU's offense to a guy that can take that next step and be an elite player that can will you to a win? And if he's able to do that, you can win a national championship with Jayden Daniels. If he's able to take that step from year to year, now as a fifth-year quarterback, second year in this system with Mike Denbrock, settled offensive line. Remember, we've talked about it a ton. 6 of the first 8 games, you had a rotating offensive. You had different offensive line combinations. Now you feel settled there. You got all your running backs returning. You lose Kayshawn and Jeray Jenkins, but you've got tons of talent there at receiver. Mason Taylor back at tight end. You feel settled, and you should be able to build upon what you had a year ago. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.